You are now tuned in to the Generation Y podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Generation Y podcast. Do not forget to like, rate, review, subscribe, do all the things so we can get people's stories out more effectively. And today we have none other than Deja Hurst. Everybody, if you can, make some noise for Deja. Yes.
I'm so excited to be here.
Welcome. You
Thank
came
you.
all the way from Shawnee, Oklahoma.
Shompton, some people say.
Shompton?
Yes. I'm
Okay.
new, so I don't really know.
Okay, excellent. Where are you from originally?
I'm from Mustang, Oklahoma.
Mustang? I'm from Mustang.
Oh, I did. We talked about that. We went to the same school, probably, but Mustang, right?
Yeah.
But different years.
What year did you go? 2010, yeah. Okay, wow. Okay. Did you go to like all the, see, now we're about to, okay, wow. Did you go to like all the elementaries and everything too?
I went to Mustang Valley.
Okay.
Then I went to Mustang North.
Okay.
Then I went
to North too.
Whenever they had the 9th grade center.
Yeah.
At the high school, and then I went to
Wow. Okay. Yep. Alumni. Let's go. Okay,
yes,
cool.
Yes.
Well, it's good to have you. You are very knowledgeable about a lot of things, but we're gonna, yeah, of course, we're gonna get into the main thing. But give a little brief rundown on like who Deja is and everything like that, real quick.
Okay, so my name's Deja Hurst.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 26 years old. I work in ministry part-time, but also I'm a life coach.
Yeah.
And I own a life coaching business that helps the personal and the professional, where I help people set realistic and sometimes what they may deem as unrealistic goals for their lives and walk alongside them and help them get to where they want to be.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different than a counselor in the way that I get to walk a little bit closer with my clients than a counselor does. They get phone calls from me. They get texts from me. I might show up to the events that they're at to support them. And so, yeah, I really love it. I've been doing it now for about 2.5 years. I really like it.
Okay. Congrats. Let's go.
Thank
Business
you.
owner.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Congrats. So what got you into all the, like, because you're talking about even Enneagrams too, yes?
I do. So I started out going to school at Oral Roberts, and I started with my degree actually in worship. And I was just like, you know what? I really feel like I have a lot more to give, and I feel like I know worship, so I could probably, not that I had learned all I could learn, but I was like, I want a degree in something else. I feel like God's calling me to do something else.
Okay.
So that's whenever I started to look around, and I actually ended up getting my degree in counseling.
Okay.
And I have a couple counselors in my family, my dad being one of them, and so I knew about that kind of mental health world, the mental health field, and really had a desire for that. But after getting that counseling degree, I really kind of, through counseling and maybe just school and different courses, realized that I could not have a personal relationship with my clients in the way that I would want to.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different, things that you can't do if you are a counselor, just for professionalism and safety for the clients and also for you. Right. And so I started to look around and think about what are some things that could lead me to where I could help people. I could still counsel people, but just in a little bit of a closer and different way, and maybe even give them more tangible goals and tangible homework for what they want to do. And I was complaining one day to my husband about it.
Let's go, Baylor.
I actually
shout out to hubby.
Yes. I was complaining one day to my husband about it, and I had been telling him a lot about how I had this desire. And next thing I know, I get home and there's a website made for me, and he's like, all right, so we're launching this today. So here's what it's gonna be called. Here's how it is.
Yes, Baylor needs a high five. Cheer for that one. Let's go. Hubby of the year. Let's go.
Truly is.
That's awesome.
And so he made it, and I was just asking God to make it abundantly clear to me, and there it was. And so ever since.
That's what's up.
Yes.
Okay. What was all in the? You came up with the name and everything? Yeah. Pretty easy. That's what's up. Wow. You just randomly thought of it, or what?
Well, I mean, it's her initials with coaching at the end, so let's put 2 and 2 together,
That's dope.
That's
dope.
He's trying to
sound modest, right?
Modest. But no, he created a whole website.
Dang.
Had like the login, my Google Suites, my email, my everything.
Wow.
I truly call him my husband assistant. So
that's dope. Dope.
No, he gave me that push that I needed, because I definitely needed
Let's
a push.
go,
I had
Baylor.
been a teacher for 2 years for the Oklahoma City Public school system, and I definitely enjoyed working with kids.
What'd you teach there?
I taught pre-K.
Okay, gotcha.
So I loved it. I had gotten out of, and this will be, a little part of my story.
Yeah.
So I got out of college, moved back home, and I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I knew that I didn't want to go back to school to be a counselor because I really didn't have that desire. Again, I wanted to work closely with clients. I also was done with school. That was enough for me. And then I also was just looking at, all of these jobs post-college, thinking about, what do I want to do? And I can't even say I was honestly thinking about what I wanted to do. I was like, how much money can I make?
Hey, let's go.
Now, I was single, living at my parents' house, and as I kind of figured out things. And so for an Oklahoma City school teacher, it was $40,000. Now, that's not a whole lot of money, but for somebody who's single.
Which we need to change that real quick, everybody.
Amen.
So
Amen,
let's go.
Because once I got married, I found out that was not that much. So I was just looking at who could pay me the highest salary.
Yeah.
Right? With what I wanted to do, what would be the easiest for me to do? Because I knew I loved kids. I had that passion, but I definitely didn't have a passion for education. I had no business being a teacher. I had no business being in that field. Right. But I had my eyes on the wrong thing of like, okay, well, this will be the easiest, this will be the quickest, and this will make me the money that I'm looking for soon.
Right.
I learned a hard lesson in that because the first year was actually a breeze. The second year was when COVID hit, and I was on Google Meet with 4-year-olds trying to teach them.
How was that?
Horrible.
Right.
Horrible.
Of course.
They were showing me their kitchen. They were showing me their toys.
4-year-olds.
4-year-olds for like 6 hours a day.
And this was like a counseling thing that you were doing with them, or you were just teaching them?
I was a teacher.
Okay, gotcha.
So I mean, like literally, the expectation was we would pull up YouTube videos, or we would pull up these softwares that we maybe had 15 days to learn, or like 2 weeks to learn, and we would have to cast to the computer, and then we'd have one-on-one meetings with these students. And it's a pandemic, so like everyone is obviously stressed and doing something different, and parents aren't paying attention in the way that they should. And it was not a fun time.
Were parents in the little Google Meets too?
Yes,
or?
definitely.
Okay.
Lots of, you better sit down.
Right.
You better put that, you better sit up
right.
interrupting the entire class.
You trying to get a spanking? Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yes. Okay, cool. You probably got to see a lot of parenting styles, huh?
Yeah. For sure.
Excellent. Okay, so coming out of that, how were you able to start curating this idea to go into your own business?
So I quit being a teacher. I started in ministry, which has always been a love of mine, but it was only part-time. And I knew that God was just calling me to more. And I found myself in a space of one day I just bursted out crying, just realizing like, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. And I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Right. I have no idea. I feel like everyone knows what they're going to do, like they have it figured out, like they know the pieces of their life. You know, I mean, from
they
social
put on
media,
they put good persona.
Definitely. So I was, just very depressed, honestly, and anxious about my future.
And this was still during COVID, yes?
Yes, okay. Definitely. And even, after being a teacher, my husband and I had just been married, and it was my second year of teaching, and everyone around us was just telling us of how horrible of a decision it would be for me to quit teaching. But I knew that that's what God was calling me to do. So I quit teaching. I started ministry thinking that's going to be the missing piece. And it's not.
What'd you do within the ministry?
I led worship. Okay. And I was actually the office manager.
Let's go. You can sing?
I do.
Okay. Deja got voice. Okay, let's go.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So I, did those things thinking that, this is what I'm going to do. And this is going to be great because I'm walking away from what I don't like.
Right.
And it just wasn't, it was abundantly clear that I was not where I was supposed to be. And so what really started me in beginning that business was just thinking about, what has God called me to do? What do I feel led to do? What do I feel like is my purpose here on this earth? And what would I do for free? That's really the question that, I went to my mom, and she was just, what would you do for free? And what are you thinking about? And what are the ideas that you have? And what do you naturally do? Just anyways. And counsel people was one of those. Coach people was one of those. It's something that I could do all day.
Were you that friend that everybody goes to for advice?
Yes, the mom friend. Okay. For sure. Right. Sure. And so
snacks in the bag and everything?
Yes,
okay,
everything.
Gotcha.
The whole 9 yards. I was the oldest. So, and the oldest. And so that I just began to think about what that could look like, and actually talk to my counselor counselor at that time. And she let me know that a lot of people in the counseling field were giving up their license to be coaches. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay, so I think I'm going to start this.
Gotcha.
And my husband created the website for me and everything. And it was truly a thing where if it was up to me, I think that I would have waited 2 years to even start. But because
of what?
Of fear.
Of fear
of failing. What could go wrong? Is this going to be a good idea? And I will say that whole entire first year and even up until now, it was figuring it out. Like, okay, what are your prices? What are my prices? Okay, what do I do? How do I do consultations? Like, it was a step-by-step thing that, I figured out day by day by day. And especially that first year, it was just like, do I want to do this? Because I love what I do, but the money is so inconsistent. And sometimes people are so inconsistent, but really it was a thing where my mom's an entrepreneur herself as well as my dad. And it was a thing where I was just like, okay, I just got to keep my head down, keep pushing, keep going. Yeah. And now I'm making more than I made as a teacher.
Hey, so let's go.
It paid off.
Yeah. Okay. We'll cheer for that one. Yeah. That's dope.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
And you're only 2 years in.
Yes.
So that's even better.
Yes. It's awesome.
And then so you started, how did you start getting clients? You just reaching out to people, offering it for, whatever? And how did it go from there?
So my first ever client was my mom.
Aww.
I keep referencing her, but she truly was someone who really believed in me and allowed me to work with her team and teach them the Enneagram, because that is something, that I use a lot in my businesses. And so she started with her, and word got around. I would post on social media. I'd post on TikTok. I'd post on Instagram. And little by little, people that, I never thought would even reach out, because a lot of it was my age. I was like, at the time, whenever I started, I was 24. And I was like, no one wants to hear from a 24-year-old.
Right.
There's nothing I can say, right? Or so I thought. And, as time went on, people would come, and clients of clients or friends of clients would come. And that's kind of how I built my base. Was
so word of mouth,
and social
dope.
media.
That's even better, because it's organic, right?
Definitely.
That's dope. So you've hit on a little bit about the Enneagram stuff. So how did you get into the Enneagram?
So
because it's becoming like a big, everybody's using it, right? Taylor hates it.
I don't hate it.
You did say
I hate people that lean on it too much.
Me too. Listen, I don't like
they just lean on too much.
Speak on it. Yes.
I always tell people, you don't use the Enneagram as a sword or a shield. You can't attack people about their personality, but you also can't be like, oh yeah, sorry I'm late, I'm an Enneagram 8, or sorry I'm rude, it's just my Enneagram.
I should have used that.
I have some people I need you to talk to.
Don't be saying some names, bro. You'll get yourself in trouble.
They will not ever hear this. It'll be fine.
Right. That's good.
But so I got into it. I was actually working with my counselor at the time, and I was just telling her some things that I was struggling with, because I was really specifically struggling with vulnerability. I was struggling with trusting God. I was struggling with trusting the decisions I was making. And I really was in a season where my anxiety was at an all-time high. I'm usually a naturally confident person. I had no confidence in that season. I had no idea what was next for me. And this is while I was in college. And this counselor was just like, I bet you're an Enneagram 8. I'm not going to assign you an Enneagram, but you should take it and you should see. And I, took the test just thinking it was going to be like another colors test or another Myers-Briggs. And I took the test, and I just remember bawling, like reading the description, bawling of like, your core fear is being betrayed or taken advantage of or at the mercy of injustice. And your core desire is to be in control and to be safe and for those around you to be defended. And I just began to think over my life, the ways in which I had really struggled with vulnerability, with being open, with knowing myself, with knowing those around me. And it just became abundantly clear, like, wow, this is something that I really struggle with. And, not all my clients are Christians, for sure.
Right.
I work with people of all different kinds. But for me personally, being a Christian, it was like, and this actually ties into every area of my life, because these are the ways that I struggle to trust God. And so for sure, it's just something that I feel like opens our eyes to our strengths and weaknesses. I think a lot of personality typologies are really focused on you're funny, you're smart, you're kind, and you like movies, and that's your personality.
Those are characteristics.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we're not looking at motivations. Like, why do you do what you do?
There's a why behind everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, especially with my clients and how it worked for me was, yes, we might know that you struggle with anxiety, but what's the root of that anxiety? And what are some things and motivations behind that? Because I think a lot of times we look at two people that struggle with the same thing and we try to give them the same solution, and it just doesn't work that way. Or they've been told one solution their entire lives that never resonated with them because we never actually got to the root of their motivations or their fears. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I got into
That's wild. So figuring that whole thing out for yourself personally, like how was that able to, obviously, bring clarity to like how you were, as a person growing up or anything. What was that like in that moment though? Was there like a change of like, okay, so now I need to assess, how I do certain things, whether it's the weakness or strengths or anything?
For me personally?
Yeah.
Yes. So my entire life have been told that I'm a little argumentative.
Ooh.
And I was just like,
should I ask Bailey?
I don't see any of that.
He's really the GOAT, man. He needs an award for the best husband,
he's really
dude.
trying to stay on my good side.
Right, of course. That's good. You got a long ride back.
He wants Dutch Bros after this, so.
He wants what?
He wants Dutch Bros after this.
Oh,
so
okay,
She makes the money in the house now. So.
My man, yeah. Smart man. That's good.
Truly for me, it was just the thing where I realized like, okay, yes, I am passionate and I am a little arbitrary, and that's great, but that could also be a weakness in some areas, and I need to be aware of the way that I'm being perceived. And I think if it taught me anything was being aware. No, you're good.
Go ahead.
Being aware of the ways that I'm being perceived, not just knowing my motivations, because it doesn't matter if I know that I'm being nice, I know that I'm trying to be kind, I know how I'm trying to come across, if it's coming across completely opposite to someone else. So
why is that important? Because I don't want to. Like, this could get me in trouble. But like, how is why is that so important to? Because it's not always about like, okay, people are looking at you, or whatever, or because that could even come across like y'all in public, right? How your relationship is perceived, right? So like, how do y'all consciously and are aware of how things are perceived and how to navigate through that?
So Baylor is an Enneagram 7, okay, which is the
adventurous, right?
It's the adventurous, but it's also, kind of a positive, I want to say bubbly personality.
As you can hear,
doesn't
right
necessarily
now.
have to be, but definitely seeks adventure, definitely loves the newest, funnest thing, definitely can struggle with FOMO, definitely has a big personality, but doesn't like to necessarily go to the root of an issue, or doesn't like to talk about emotions at all time. If anything, they're trying to escape the emotions that they feel, or they're trying to run away from what they feel and distract with fun things. Okay. Now I'm an 8. Okay. And so for me, I am very arbitrary. Okay. I can be very argumentative. I am a defender.
Isn't that the helper too?
No, the 2 is the helper.
Sorry. Go. Okay.
No, you're good.
You
know
these things.
You're good. Yeah. You're good. Also likes to be in control and likes to, let's get to the major point. So I remember the first year of our marriage, we would have conversations and we'd be there for 2 hours, and I'm like, I'm staying here.
Are you saying this nicely in like conversations, or is this like
this is a heated discussion?
Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
there we go. Just for people to get clarification
fellowship.
On like what this was. Okay, yeah.
Yes, heated fellowship. Okay, so I remember there were many times fellowship.
Whatever that is. Yeah.
So I remember many times where like it'd be like 2 hours, and he's like running his hands through his hair, like tired, done. And I'm like, no, we're gonna get to the bottom of this. Like, we're gonna figure out how this is not gonna happen again, because we're missing each other.
Right.
And I was really my heart was, I want us to have a healthy marriage. I want us to get to the root of the issues. I want us to talk about things and not ignore them. I don't want to distract with fun things. I don't want to go get coffee. I don't want to go for a walk. I want to talk about this. And for him, it was like, but I need a break. I need a moment. Like, after something heated happens, I need a second. And so for me as a challenger, my perception is I need to know when to challenge. I need to know when it's an appropriate time to challenge. I need to know when it's an appropriate time to be arbitrary, or whenever he just needs my support, or he just needs a listening ear, or he just needs me to talk to him. Now, there are times when he does need to be challenged, but I think learning that not all time is a time for challenge was really hard for me, because I love challenging people. But there's a time and there's a way to do that. And I think it was
in a
coming
healthy
across,
way, yeah.
right? It was coming across like, I think maybe I was trying to change him, or I wasn't even being aware of, you know, this is a truth about his personality that I need to understand, because I think as a woman, it was always this understanding of like, this is how I am. I'm straightforward. I'm blunt. Take it or leave it.
Right.
But I wasn't taking the same personality characteristics, maybe not the exact same personality characteristics, but his personality characteristics, and saying, okay, I see those. I respect those. I need to also be aware of those.
Right.
And so that's kind of how the Enneagram has helped us.
Okay.
Sure.
That's good. Okay. So that's on a personal relationship way.
Yeah.
So can you, like, because whenever I first started hearing about, you know, people that are coaches for Enneagrams, I kind of related them to like fortune tellers. So can you like, can you look at somebody?
Not.
Can you like, can you guess what people's Enneagram is just by like, no? Is that just like legally, or like you can't?
You shouldn't be able to, like,
you don't want to place a label on somebody.
Well, you never want to place a label, and I don't know anybody's motivations. Like, I could say that like you were a DJ for the church camps that I used to be at growing up. So,
wow, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
yes.
so I could be like,
yeah.
oh, like he must be a 7 because he likes having fun. He likes music. I don't know your motivations, so I don't know.
I'm a 6.
And I was off.
Yeah.
Right?
Just by 1.
It's
not far off. So,
and so, no, you shouldn't be able to. You shouldn't. Every single client that I have, I might say, hey, you're presenting like this number, but I want you to take the test and I want you to tell me what resonates with you.
Okay.
Because you don't know people's motivations.
Right, of course.
And so,
yeah,
for sure.
Well,
Excellent.
also, and a big factor of Enneagram is whether they're healthy or unhealthy.
Definitely.
Right. And so when you see someone like on the street, you're like, oh, I don't know what you're walking around with right now.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you're healthy. I don't know if you're unhealthy.
Exactly.
Because a 7 can be perceived as a different number because they're unhealthy.
For sure.
Like or around the wrong people.
Absolutely.
Ooh, look at you knowing stuff.
Exactly.
You hate it, but you love it.
Oh, I enjoy it, but it's like, don't put me in a box.
I think it's interesting for sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
I get that.
I like your perspective more on this than some other people that I've heard talk about this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's why she's on the podcast. Yes. She's a go. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I think that Taylor's 100% right. Yeah. I mean, anytime that you are going off of a behavior that you see, or you're going off of someone's personality characteristics, or you even think you know them, you're closing them off already to the Enneagram because you're trying to label them without giving them an opportunity to say.
But don't we do that even in society?
Yeah, we do. We
really
do. And people turn off, you know, to us in many ways because we think that we know people and we truly don't.
That's assuming, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
People want to be known, and I think that's what I've learned in my field of work is people want to be deeply known. In order to deeply know someone, you've got to hear them out. And so for most of my coaching, it's literally me talking maybe 30%, maybe 40%. And I might talk more, but more than anything, especially those first few sessions, I want to hear from you.
Yeah.
I want to know about you, because in order for me to deeply know you and deeply help you, I've got to be open to hearing about you and not just assuming.
If only we all did that in this world, right?
Yes,
oh
absolutely.
My goodness.
It'd be a better world for sure.
For real, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just very, you know, I like to ask questions. Obviously, that's why we do this. But so the Enneagram, you can even change your Enneagram like through seasons, yes or no?
So your stress and growth number can change. So your actual number never changes. So for instance, you as a 6 in stress, you're going to look like an unhealthy 3.
What is a 3?
So a 3 is actually the successful achiever. And their goal is to be successful and to merge into whatever they need to be in every situation.
Is that real? Like that I'm predicted to be a 6, or is that just you guessing?
No,
like,
no. That's
this is because of the number situation.
Like any
Got
6.
you. Okay.
So a 6 in stress looks like a unhealthy 3.
Okay, excellent.
So they are trying to be a chameleon in the most unhealthy way. They're just merging with whoever they're with. So they're with this group of people, they act like this. They're with this group of people, they act like this. They're with this group of people, they act like this. Or they might become unnecessarily competitive and feel like they've got to win, they've got to be the best in a very unhealthy way.
I feel like I'm not very competitive.
Maybe
I am though.
Maybe
and
for
I
you
didn't
it's
know
more
it.
internal, because it could also be competitiveness with yourself. It could be I got to beat this record, then I got to beat this, and then I didn't do good at this, and I got to do this. So it doesn't have to be with others.
Is that why I like don't really celebrate certain things? Because I'm just on to the next. Oh my god!
For sure. And when you're in growth,
this is a free session, right? You don't bill us, right?
Him an invoice
oh
after
my
this.
god! Okay,
go ahead and send that over. I'm just
send it to Baylor. Yeah. Okay.
But whenever you're healthy, you look like an Enneagram 9. Which is the peaceful
tell me
mediator.
The good stuff. What is that?
So that just means that you no longer let your anxieties that you might normally feel control you. You've learned how to be in a peaceful space.
Yeah.
You've learned how to be less combative, less argumentative. You're no longer trying to look out for the worst case scenario. You've just learned how to enjoy.
Okay. Cool. I feel like I always look at worst case scenario. So thanks for saying that loudly. Yeah, that's good. Okay, cool. All right. So yeah, so I could bounce between a 3 and a 9. You said, right?
Yep.
9. Okay.
Yep.
Excellent.
6, stress is 3, growth is 9.
3, 6, 9.
3, 6, 9. Wow.
Fill in the blank.
Yes.
Thank you.
Appreciate
that. What do you think you are, Taylor?
I'm a 7.
A 7. We love 7s.
I agree. 7s are the best.
Yes, absolutely.
Can we? Is that like could do 6 and 7s? Are they friends?
No. I don't even have to know the science behind that. The answer is no.
You can't.
My 6 friend that I'm really close to, we are such good friends because of our constant challenge of each other. But there's not a ton of chemistry. It's more like building each other.
Oh.
Absolutely. I mean, a 6 and a 7. So
we have chemistry though, right?
What's your do you know your wife's
yes
number?
What can you say yes? Because you know we do.
Of course we do.
Okay, good. Do I know my wife's? See, this is why I can't answer that question because I don't want to get in trouble. I think that she's like a 2, 3-ish. Okay. I don't know. I can't remember what Julian is. Do you remember what Julian was?
4.
Oh no, maybe it was a 4. Something like that.
I think Amanda was a 2.
So speaking of having relationships with 7, my wife is a 6.
Wow.
So me and you.
Me and you are married, dog.
Yes.
We got a lot of chemistry. Nice. Okay. Yeah. So what's a 2 again?
So a 2 is the helper.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So they really have desire to see people's needs, maybe even without them having to ask. They're very good at being able to pick up on what people need and to meet that. They're very giving, very loving, great gift givers because they're always paying attention to people and what they like. They are just kind, just salt of the earth people.
What's the good and bad part, the strengths and weaknesses of the 2?
He asked me, Amanda. All right.
I did. This is the question. Okay. Yeah.
So 2. So in stress, a 2 looks like an 8, an unhealthy 8. And so that means they look like a defender. So you've pushed them to the edge. And you're going to hear all about it.
Why are you saying I pushed it?
I'm not saying you per se.
You did say you, but I get you. Yeah.
So they've been pushed to the edge. They've been nice. They've kept quiet because they really don't like conflict. But now they got to speak up because they've been holding it in too long. Okay. Now, when they're healthy, and this is why you might have gotten the 4 mixed up, they look like a healthy 4.
Which is?
Because the healthy 4 is a romantic individualist. So that means that they lean into their creative side. They sometimes are very artistic. Maybe they like to do crafts. Maybe they like to write. Maybe they like to home make or cook.
Amanda is a good writer.
Yeah, they just like to lean into that creative side, and they've learned how to be more in touch with their emotions and their needs, and learned how to not get so burnt out on helping others all the time and seeing their needs while neglecting their own. That's what they look like in a healthy space.
Okay. And then a 2 is just helper vibes. You already said, right?
Yes. Okay, yes. Gotcha. So the helper, or some people will say the supportive advisor, which I like better because that sounds they really nice. Are great. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. What does a 2 and a 7 look like in a relationship?
So you mean 6?
Yes, 6.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
So 2 and 6 in a relationship. So you guys are both in the dependent stances, which is great because 1s, 2s, and 6s, they move towards each other when there is conflict, or the way that they solve issues is by moving towards others. So it's great in the sense of if there's a problem, neither of you are isolators. You come to each other and you work things out and you get to that worst case scenario that you might struggle with as a 6.
Already, yeah.
And she can really bring some understanding to that. And she probably doesn't approach it from a very logical point of view, which is good, because sometimes you as a 6 just need your emotions validated to know that this isn't safe, or to feel like something isn't safe. I think it can be bad in the sense of, because a 6 is always worst case scenario. And they're always
we said that. Thanks.
And they're looking for the worst, but also they're extremely loyal. Okay.
Yeah.
They're extremely loyal, and they're people that truly want to sometimes even hold on to people that might be bad for them. I think that it's good for a 2 to have a front row seat to that, because a 2 can struggle with the same thing, and it's almost like a mirror of like, I see how that's bad in his life, so I need to look at this in my life, or I see how that's bad in her life, so I need to address this in my life. And as a 6, because you can see that worst case scenario, sorry to say it again.
No, it's okay. We'll just go into the ground.
You can protect her in a lot of ways of, hey, you're going to burn yourself out. And she can also kind of bring that fun side out of you and say, hey, it's really not that bad. We should let, those anxieties down. We should let that go, and we should enjoy the moment. And so I feel like that's how a 2 and 6 really complement each other. Okay.
Excellent. So how do you hone into, let's say, and we'll just say, as my worst case scenario as a 6, what if we, or the 2, vice versa, whatever, what if we don't hone into the sides of, okay, we should look at, the things, looking in the mirror, right, as each other, and trying to voice those. I feel like that also comes with communication, right? Of being able to, okay, I see the bad side of your stuff, right? And it could be bad for me because I'm leaning toward the, whatever, 4 or I can't remember, 9.
When you're unhealthy, you're going to lean more towards the 3.
Right. So if we see that sides of each other, you know what I'm saying, and we don't vocalize that, should we vocalize our weaknesses and stuff like that?
For sure.
Because I feel like there, even on her side, but like, I feel like on her side and my side, we struggle with the whole communicating when we're not healthy or when we are unhealthy.
For sure. So as a 2, she's in the positive outlook triad when it comes to conflict.
Triad, whoa. Okay.
So she is looking at how to fully, she's looking at how to find the positive side of everything. So for her to not speak on something, she's just trying to be positive. Or she's just trying to keep a positive attitude. Or she's just trying to have a positive outlook, right? For you, you're a pragmatist. So that means you want to fully understand the situation before you ever move on. So for her, it could be like, okay, well, that doesn't really matter. Let's just have a good day. For you, it could be, well, we need to get to the bottom of this, and we need to figure out why it's this way. And so in order for you guys to clearly see each other's sides and to be able to better communicate, you have to be willing to lean outside of just that worst case scenario and look at the best. And she's got to be willing to lean outside of just the positive and be able to examine the negative, because on one end, you don't want to look at the positive. You only see the problem. On the other end, she only sees the positive, and it's not that big of a deal to her. And if it's going to ruin the whole day, why would we even talk about it? That's her thing. And so communication can lack sometimes when she feels like, well, whoa, he's just being so pushy. And for you, it's like, she doesn't even care. And in reality, that's just not the case at all. So better communication would just be maybe finding specifically a time face-to-face at the end of the day, after something has happened, hours after something has happened, to discuss and say, here's how I saw that situation, and here's how I saw that situation. And for you to maybe take that lead and say, okay, here are the positives of this. I do see these things working out well. Here's what we need to work. Because it can be hard for a 2 to hear just all the negatives and just everything that's wrong. They can feel very attacked because everything about their personalities, they want to help and they want to support.
Right.
So to hear that they're not being that is very hurtful. So that's why you might get that defensive viewpoint or that defensive stance when you come to her with an issue. And so better communication would be just being able to remember those things.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. And how long have you been married?
I've been married 2.5 years.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And do y'all got it down?
No, never. No.
Okay.
I mean, so in our relationship, like I said, we're both, I know I'm using a lot of different terms. We're both in the assertive stance. So both of us go against whatever's in the way. So if we want to do something, we have a goal, it's easy for us to be like, no, I'm going to do this. Right. And we've had to both learn how to key in and clue in on each other's needs and ask. The way our relationship works is very loving, but I think people would be surprised to find out it's also very systematic. Because I believe a marriage has to be in order to work. You should have systems in place that make your marriage work. Because it's not just going to be, oh, we're in love and it's spontaneous for the rest of your marriage. And so we've put things in place like, hey, specifically, when this happens, I'd like for you to ask. Specifically, I'm a major introvert. So, hey, please don't sign me up for things. Please don't invite me to things in front of people.
Because he's adventurous person.
because he's
but he also wants his lady involved, right?
Yes. And I've had to be like, he's had to be like, hey, honey, like we spent 6 days together, so I actually would like to go hang out with my friends. And I have to not take offense to that and be like, okay, but you don't want to stay home forever. You know, just learning how
you're married to me and me only.
So learning how to communicate our needs in a very straightforward but understanding way, because I think naturally we just know how to communicate needs, but not necessarily how to always support. And I think that we have definitely done a great job of that. Actually, him better than me. I would say that he's the kinder one in the relationship by far.
Okay.
And so
precious.
And so
I got it. Yeah.
And so I just feel like we also work together, and so that adds another thing. We work with my father-in-law too, so that adds another layer. And so I think we, through marriage counseling, which I can't recommend enough, personal counseling, marriage counseling, life coaches, we have a great marriage, and I'm extremely happy. Dope. But it's not because we haven't put the work in. It just didn't work out that way.
Man, for real. I think we definitely bypassed the work that needs to be put in for that. So that's dope. So is it hard to put down the counselor mindset whenever y'all are in a heated fellowship?
I would actually say the opposite. It's hard for me to pick that up and be like, ooh, okay. Because I can be completely just have a bird's eye view on somebody else's situation. I'm not in it. So it doesn't affect me. And so I don't get emotional. It doesn't really affect me. I have to, in my, field of work, I have to be able to hear a traumatic story and keep it pushing. But with, in our marriage, it's kind of like it directly involves me. So if anything, I have to remind myself like, wait, okay, this is my person. This is, I know his heart. I know who he is. And I've had to take a moment to add that to that, because I actually think that as someone who knows the Enneagram and I am a life coach, I think that if you were in that field of work, it'd be very easy for you to manipulate your spouse. And I never want to do that. It'd be very easy for you to know things about them and how to get them. And I never want to do that.
That was something that I was going to ask too, because I feel like there's a lot of people that could manipulate those situations, whether it's a pastor, counselor, or anybody in any situation or role.
Anybody in a helper role has the ability to manipulate if that's something that they wanted to do. And I feel like you have to be extra careful just because I might know Baylor's Enneagram number or he's my husband, that doesn't mean there's not still some things to learn about him. And if I ever stop learning about him, then we're going to be in trouble. And so. Yeah,
definitely. Sure. Wow. Okay. So what's the future goal for Deja and everything that you're doing right now?
So my future goal right now is I continue to grow my business and work with businesses and professionals. I'm trying to work with more businesses right now in the area that I live in Shawnee, Oklahoma, as well as
Shompton, let's go.
As well as Midwest City. And one day I would love
You're in the Dub?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would love to, yeah.
That's dope.
So one day I would actually love to expand DSH coaching and just have a bunch of other coaches under me and that we work together with. And maybe it's all under DSH coaching, but we have a health coach. We have specifically a relationship coach. We might have a depression coach, like just people that specialize in different things.
That's crazy.
It's kind of like a hub of coaches. So.
This is off topic or off camera stuff, but like GNWY is trying to get a building that we can do that. So
really,
we'll have to be talking more. So
definitely.
So
we will have to be.
And we also partner with the National Guard.
That's pretty sick.
Okay, that's awesome.
This is both of y'all's little things
definitely.
You got going on. Anyways, so that's super dope. When did you start getting into because you even do like classes, like because I seen you post something that you were doing a class ordering for somebody or something.
So businesses will ask me to come and speak to their staff. So I will teach the staff about the Enneagram. We'll all take the assessment together.
Like a professional development day or something?
For sure.
Okay.
And I will teach those employers how to understand and better relate to their employees. Now, sometimes they are professional development days, but right now I have 3 businesses. I meet with them on a weekly basis as a stand-in coach for them to communicate better with each other, for their personal lives, for their professional lives, and for a lot of my businesses, all of my businesses right now, it's ongoing.
Got you.
And so, yeah.
That's dope. Well, how do you think that something that you do would benefit, like even being in schools?
So I think that it could benefit because I think it could benefit being in schools because I think that kids are taught a lot about who they should be and what they should be accomplishing and what they should, what grades they should be making. But I don't know if every kid is being taught to figure out who they are called to be, figure out their purpose, figure out why they're here on this earth, and apply that and let that be the drive that pushes them. I think that a lot of times kids don't like school. I was one of them. Same. Because it's just like,
is that because of Mustang?
Maybe.
Let's not talk about that. No, play.
Yes. So, I mean, I think for a lot of kids, it's math, science, and English. And I think what my parents did a great job with me, and what I later learned on is, we're all working for a greater purpose. And although we might have to all do those mundane things, when you keep purpose in mind and you keep what you know that you're called to in mind, then you truly find yourself in a position where even the mundane things bring you joy. And so I think being in schools would teach kids how to work through the mundane, because I don't think, most of being an adult is the mundane, and I don't really know if we prepare kids for that. And so I just think also getting to know who they are, and not just being who people have told them they're going to be, negative and positive. I had so many people tell me, because I had a great voice, and I'm not saying at all this would work, but they'd be like, you should be on American Idol. That's not what I was called to do. I don't even want to do that. And I can only imagine 17, 18-year-old me. Well, they said I should do it. I'm going to go ahead and do it. Right. These people said that I should be a teacher. So I'm going to go ahead and be a teacher for the rest of my life. And so I think just teaching kids about how to identify what their purpose, what their calling is. I think that's a great way that could benefit schools.
I'm even seeing like a lot of students like struggle with drive to do things. And like, I don't know if that's just mainly from like, social media and like having to consume instead of being able to create. Like I feel like we're trying to, or right now I think we're setting our kids up for failure in the sense of creating them to be just consumers.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Instead of creating them to be creators.
Right? Absolutely.
And so I don't know if you have any way to speak on that, but like I think that it would be dope for stuff that you're bringing to the table of teaching that you already talked about purpose, which is something that GNWY is all about too. It's like we talk about your why, we talk about your purpose. That's the foundation of somebody's future. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you want to do and however you want to create it, okay, cool, but your foundation is, why do you want to do that?
Right. That's
what
good.
is your purpose that you want to be able to get to? Because everything that you do falls back on your why.
For sure.
Right. I mean, whether it is making more money, whether it is, getting some type of fame or recognition or affirmation or whatever it is, like everything is going to fall back to whatever your intention, your why is.
For sure.
And so, but being able to teach that in schools, I feel like that emotional, development or something like that would be super beneficial for these kids now.
For sure.
So yeah.
Well, a lot of kids, I think even more than being consumers, I think that's a great point. I think that because of social media, because of how overstimulated everyone is, adults included, there's no coping skills. So if something does happen, right, that, we're going through, there's no coping skills other than social media. There's no coping skills other than turning to consume something on Netflix and binge watching and, just being involved.
It's just another drug.
Right. Absolutely. Right? I think that part of the reason, like I know you said that, not seeing drive, I think that it is a comparison thing for sure, but also there's no coping skills, and we're not having a real view on what our lives would look like if we did have the proper coping skills, as well as what we're not acknowledging is that for a child to go through a pandemic is weird.
For real.
Just strange. That's nothing, we won't even know the social, psychological effects that has on kids, better yet teenagers, for years probably. We won't know. And we see that the depression rates have risen, anxiety rates have risen. But, I think that also contributes to it, too, is that, if you were alive during the pandemic and these kids included, they're going to greatly be affected by that as well.
Definitely. And just genuine relationship, right? I mean, like you were forced to be in your house for 3 months. Oh, yeah. You were shut away from your friends, trying to figure out how to even communicate with them, right? My
sister graduated through a TV. Like, they literally showed pictures of the kids. For her senior graduation.
Which is wild to me,
which is sad and wild. Like, she didn't have a problem or anything, but, like, also it was like a dystopian society. Like, it was just strange and weird. And so
that is wild. On a TV, though?
On a TV.
Did she walk in the living room?
No.
She didn't even have
No.
She didn't toss a hat?
Mm-mm.
Nothing?
Mm-mm.
She just watched herself on TV.
She just watched her picture.
Float on by.
Yeah,
that is wild.
Not a good time.
That is
not
wild.
A great time, yeah.
That's crazy. And she probably was jealous of your...
For sure. Because my brother,
right,
and she was the baby of the family, and she didn't get to have that. Yeah.
Dang, that's wild. It is true. Like, what are we gonna do, like, as a society to, like, move forward? How do we do that? But I think that you're right with the whole coping stuff. How are we gonna get back to now I'm gonna have to learn how to assess my emotions, why I react the way I react, and it's not just reacting, right? It's just what's the other word? It's not reacting, but it's... What's the other one? Instead of reacting, what do we do? What should we do? Come on, coach. You got it.
Explain to me what you mean.
Like, instead of reacting to something, we should close. It's like it's another R word, I think. Instead of reacting, we figure it out.
Reflect, respond.
Look at you. There you go. That's why you're here.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Respond. We respond instead of react, right? Yes, like, we respond not only to the situation, but to how it affects us.
Absolutely.
Right. And so, like, I think that your coping skills would be dope. Are you creating curriculum at all?
I actually have thought about that. The first direction I'm trying to move in is in workshops.
Okay.
Just meeting with people and kind of teaching them that. But that is definitely something I'm giving thought to.
We're doing a camp in July. You should come do a workshop.
I would love that.
Yeah.
I would absolutely love that.
Let's do it. Okay. These are all off-camera conversations. But, so, yeah, that's super dope. So where can people find you and, connect with you at?
So you can find me at DSH Coaching.
She's so professional. She's like, I know I need to look here. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
DSHcoaching.co. You can also find me at Deja the Coach on TikTok and Instagram. And on Facebook, you can find me at Deja Hurst.
Excellent. And what's the website?
dshcoaching.co.co.
Yes, excellent. Okay, so we really appreciate you coming through once again.
Thanks so much for having me.
And yes, and we'll have all this stuff ready for you. So, but everybody, thank you so much once again for tuning into this episode of the Generation Y podcast. Do not forget to like, rate, review, subscribe so we can get Deja's story out and her business out more effectively. So thank you so much one more time. You're amazing.
Yes,
definitely. Baylor, appreciate you, man. Hubby of the year, go follow him too. So we'll see you next time though. Thank you.